女士们、先生们，大家上午好！欢迎出席国务院新闻办新闻发布会。今天我们非常高兴邀请到中国人民银行行长潘功胜先生、金融监管总局局长李云泽先生、中国证监会主席吴清先生，请他们为大家介绍金融支持经济高质量发展有关情况，并回答大家关心的问题。下面我们首先请潘功胜先生做介绍。
潘功胜，
谢谢小丽组长。
Thank you very much.
各位记者朋友，
Friends
大家上午好。
Media, good morning.
非常高兴再次和大家见面。
It's a great pleasure to see you
感谢
again.
长期以来对于金融业的改革
Thank you
发
all
展，
for
以及
your
对于人
support
民银行各
for
项工作的
development
关注
and
和支
reform
持。
in the financial sector, as well as the work we do at
今年
the
以来，
PBOC.
人民银
Since
行
the beginning
坚
of this
持
year,
金
the
融服务
PBOC
实
has
体经
adhered
济
to
的
the
根本
fundamental
宗旨，
purpose of serving the real
坚
economy
持
through financial
支
services.
持性的货币政策立
We
场
have taken
和
prudent
政
monetary
策取
policy
向，
that is
在
flexible,
2月、
moderate,
5月、
precise,
7
and
月
effective.
先后3次实施了
With
比较
three
重大的
significant
货币政策
monetary
调整。
policy adjustments in February, May,
在货币
and
政策的总
July.
量上，
In terms
综
of
合
the
运用下调存款准备金
quantitative
率，
monetary
降
policy,
低
a
政策
variety
利
of
率，
tools have been used,
引导
such as
贷款市
lowering
场
the
报价利率下
required
行
reserve ratio,
等多
reducing
种
policy
货
interest
币政
rate,
策
and
工
guiding
具，
the downward movement
营
of
造良好
LPR
的
to
货币
create
金
a
融。
favorable monetary and financial environment.
在货币政策的结构上，
In terms of the
着力
structure,
于高质量发展
efforts
的
have been
关键
made
环节，
on key links
设
in
立科技
high
创
quality
新和
development.
技术
A
改革在
relanding
内，
facility for tech
加大对
innovation
科技
and
创新
technical
和设备更
transformation has
新
been
改造的
established to
金融
increase
支持，
financial support for
降低
innovation
按
and
揭贷
equipment
款首付
upgrades.
比例和
The
按
down
揭贷
payment
款利率，
ratio and interest rates for
下
mortgage
调
loans
公
have
积
been
金贷款
reduced.
比例，
Housing Provident
并设
Fund
立保障
loan
性部分
ratios
再贷款，
have been lowered, and a
用
relanding
市场
facility
化的
for
方式
for
加
affordable
快推
housing has
进
been set up.
存量商品房
These
去库
measures
存。
use market-oriented
在货
methods
币
to
政策的
accelerate
传
the
导
reduction
上，
of
推
inventory
动改革
in
金融业
existing
增加
commercial
值的
housing.
季度
In terms
增
of the
加值的
transmission,
核算方式，有之前主要基于
we
存贷
have
款增速
promoted
的推算法，
reforms to
改成
increase
了收入
quantitative
法核
value,
算。
added
整治规范手工补
accounting
习
method in
和资金
financial
空断，
industry.
黄和存量低效的
We have
借用
rectified
资
and
源，
standardized
提高资金使用效率，
the use
提升
of
货币政策
funds,
传导的效率。
reduce the empty turnover of funds
在汇率
in
上，
order to increase the
坚持市
efficiency
场
of
在
such
汇率
use.
形成之中的决定性
On
作
the
用，
exchange rate
保
front,
持
the
汇率
market's
弹性，
decisive role in
强
exchange
化
rate
预期
formation
引导，
has been
保
upheld.
持人民
We
币
have
汇率在
maintained
合理均衡水平上的
flexible
基本稳定。
exchange rate and ensure that RMB
货币
exchange
政策
rate
的
is
成
at a
效
reasonable
不断
level.
显现。
The
8月
effectiveness
末
of，
社会融
policy
资规模
monetary
同比
policy
增长
continues to
8.1%，
emerge.
人民币贷
The
款
scale
同
of
比
social
增长
financing increased by
8.5%，
8.1%
高
year on
于
year.
名义 GDP
At the end
的
of
增
August,
速
the RMB
约
loans
4个
increased
百
by
分点，
8.8%,
融资的
about
成本
4
也
percentage
处
points
于
higher than nominal
历史的低
GDP
位。
growth rate, with the financing interest rate at a historical low.
根据中央的决
So
策部
according to
署，
decisions of the Central
为进
Committee,
一步支持
in order to
经济
further
的
shore
稳
up
定
the
增长，
development of the economy,
人民银
the
行将坚
PBOC
定
will
地
continue
坚
to
持
take
支持性的货币政策
supportive
立场，
monetary policy.
加
We
大
will
货币政策调控的强度，
intensify monetary
提
policy
高货币
adjustment,
政策调控的精
increase
准
the
性，
effect,
为经济稳定增长和高质量发展创
the
造良好
precise
的
precision
货
of
币金
monetary
融环境。
policy in order to create a good environment for
借助今天的新
economic
闻发布
development
会，
and high quality development.
我宣布了
I would like to
下
announce
属几项
the
政策。
following few policies.
第一，
First,
降低
we
存
will
款准备
cut
金率
required
和
reserve
政策利
ratio
率，
and policy rate
并带动市
and
场基
guide
准利率
the
的下
market
行。
benchmark rate downward.
第二，
Second,
降低存
we
量
will
房贷利率，
lower the
并
mortgage rate
并
for
统一房贷的
existing
在地首付比例，
housing loans and unify the minimum
第三，
down payment ratio.
创设新的货
Third,
币政策
we
工
will
具，支
establish
持
new
股票
monetary
市场
policy
的
tools to
稳
support
定发展。
the stability and development of the stock market.
第一项呢是
First,
降低存款准备金率
We
和
will
政策
cut
利率，
the RRR and policy rate.
近期将下调存款准备金
In the
率
near future, we will
0.5个百分
cut
点，
RRR by
向
0.5
金融
percentage
市场
points
提供长
to
期的流动
provide
性。
long-term
约1万亿
liquidity
元
of around 1 trillion RMB yuan to the financial market.
在今年年内，还将是
We will,
视市
based
场流动
on
性的状况，
market liquidity
可能择机
consider the
进一步
possibility
下调
of bringing
存款
down,
准备金率
further bringing down
0.25至0.5个百分点，
the
就是
RR
再进的下降0.5个百分点，向
from
市场提
around
供长期流动性1万亿。
0.25 to
那么在年底之
0.5
前，
percentage
我们根
points.
据情况，可能还会择机再下调0.25到0.5个百分点，
So this is the policy I would like to announce today.
降低中央银行的政策利率。
We will also cut
7天期
Central bank
逆回
policy
购
rate.
操作利率，我们说中央银行的政策利率是
7-day
指的这个7天期的逆回购
This
操
is
作利率，
what we mean
下
by
调
the central
0.2个
government,
百分
central
点，
bank policy
从
rate.
目
We
前
will
的
bring it down by 0.2
1.7%
percentage points
调
from the
降
current
至
1.7% to
1.5%。
1.5%.
同时，引导
At the same
贷
time,
款
we will
市场
guide
报价利率和存款利率同
The
步下行，
LPR and the deposit
保
rate
持
downward.
商业银
In
行
order to
净息差的稳定。
Ensure the stability of net interest margin.
二是降低存量房贷
We
利
will
率
cut
和统一
the
房贷
outstanding
再低
mortgage
首付比例，
loan interest rate and unify the
引导商业
minimum
银行
down
将
payment
存量房
ratio.
贷利率
We will
降至
guide
新发
commercial
放
banks
贷款利率的附
to
近。
bring down the
预
outstanding
计
mortgage loans
平均的
to
降幅
somewhere around
大
the
约在
mortgage rate
0.5
for
个
new
百分
home
点左右。
purchases. It is expected to
统
drop
一
by
首套
around
房和二
0.5
套房
percentage
的
points.
房贷
We will
再低首
unify
付
the
比例，
minimum down
将
payment
全
ratio
国层
for
面的二
the
套房贷
first
款
time home
再低首
purchases
付比
and
例
those
由
who
当
buy
前的
second homes.
25%下调
The
到
second home
到
purchases
15%。
Minimum down payment ratio will be brought
将5 月
down
份人民银行
from
串设的
25%
3000亿元
to
保障型
15%.
不还债贷款，
With regard to the 300
中央银
billion
行
RMB
资金的
yuan,
支
the
持比
PBOC
例
launched in
由
May
原来的
for affordable
60%
housing
提
relending.
高到
The funding
100%，
support from the central
增
bank
强对银行和
will
收
be
购主体的
further
市场化
increased
激励，
from 60% to 100% in order to
将年底前
incentivize
到
the
期
banks
到期的
and other
经营
entities
性
for
物
to
业贷款
acquire the
和金融
projects
16条
We will
这两
further
项政
extend
策文
the two policy
件
documents
延期到
which should have
2026
been
年底。
expired by
原来这两
the
项
end
文
of
件呢
this
是
year
到
to the end of
27年底就到期了。
2026,
我们和
which
金融监管
concerns
总
the
局一
commercial
起
property
把这两份文
loans
件呢
and
延
the
长到
16-point
2026
measure in the financial sector. This is something we do with the
三是串
National
设
Financial
新的货币
Regulatory
政策工具
Administration.
支持
Third,
股票
we
市
will
场的稳
establish
定发
new
展。
monetary policy tools to support the
串设
stability and
证
development
券
of the
基
stock
金
market.
保
We
险公司
will
互换便
establish
利，
swap facilities
支持符合条件的
for
证券、
securities
基
funds
金、
and
保
insurance
险公司
companies. We will
通
support
过资产质押
eligible
从中央银
companies
行
in
获取
securities
流动
funds
性。
and insurance in
这项政
companies
策将大幅
through
提
pledged
升机构
assets
的
to
资金
obtain
获取
liquidity
能力
support from the central
和
bank. This
股
will
票增
increase
持
the
能力。
access of funding for these companies and their ability to increase holding of shares.
第二项的是串设
We will
股票
also
回购
set
增
up
持专项再贷款，
Special relending program
引导银行向上市公司
increasing the
和主
holding
要
of
股东
shares.
提
We
供
will
贷款，支持回购
guide the
和
banks to
增持股
provide
票。
loans for listed companies and its major shareholders in order to support their efforts to
我
for
刚才介绍
share
的上述
buybacks
的政策主
and
措，
increasing
我们将于
the
近
holdings.
期在人民银行的网站上逐项
We
的
will
发布政策文件
Release
或
the
者
policy
是发布公
documents
告。
on the PBOC
我先呢
website
简要的
in the
介绍
near
一
future.
这些，一会儿呢
So this
还
will
会
be,
和
my
云
opening
泽助长、
remarks
吴清主席一道
together with
就
my
一
two
些
counterparts.
大家关心的问题呢，
I
回
will
答大家的问题。
take your questions. Thank you.
谢谢潘行长。下面我们请李云泽先生做介绍。
I now give the floor
谢谢小绿局
Minister
长，
Li.
各位媒体朋友，
Thank
大家
you.
上午好。
Good morning,
很高兴
friends
和
from
大家见面。
media. It is
首
my
先
pleasure to
还是
meet
代
with
表
you
金融
all.
监管总
First,
局
on behalf
向各位
of
媒体朋友
the
长期以来
NFRA,
对
I would like
金融
to
监管工作
thank
的
all
支
the
持
friends from the
和
media
帮助
for your
呢，表
long-term
示衷
support
心
and
的
help
感谢。
for our work in
今年
financial
以来，
regulation.
金融监管
This
总
year,
局
the
坚决贯彻落实
NFRA
党中央、
has
国务院
resolutely
重大决
implemented
策部署，
major decisions
主动作
of the
为，
CPC
事不避
Committee and
难，
State Council,
统筹
taking
推进
initiative and
防
not
风
stepping
险、
in
强监管、
difficulties.
促发展3大重点任务，各项工作迈出坚实步伐。在防风险方面，我们聚焦重点领域，压茶推进化险工作，努力为经济发展营造安全稳定的金融环境。按照中央金融工作会议的部署，积极推动中小金融机构改革化险，坚决避免风险的外溢和传导。目前，高风险机构集聚的地区都已经形成了具体的改革化险方案，正在按照一省一策、稳妥有序地推进实施。同时，我们也指导银行保险机构积极配合化解房地产和地方政府债务风险。当前，我国金融业，尤其是大型金融机构经营稳健，风险可控。伴随房地产、地方债以及中小金融机构3大风险逐步化解和缓释，金融风险正在稳步收敛。我们会坚决守牢不发生系统性金融风险的底线。在强监管方面，我们坚持标本兼治，以改革破难题，以制度促规范，不断增强行业可持续发展能力，引导银行业、保险业回归本源，聚焦主业，实现错位发展、优势互补。推动出台保险业新的国十条，及时完善资管规定，持续强化非银机构治理，优化夯实信贷基础管理，推动解决制约行业持续健康发展的深层次的问题，引导金融机构优化布局，苦练内功，积极应对净息差收窄和利差损风险，聚焦防控实质风险，切实落实尽职免责制度，同时严肃查处重大违法违规现违，营造公平公正的市场秩序。在促发展方面，我们着力打通堵点卡点，提升经济金融的适配性，加大对重点领域和薄弱环节的金融服务力度，强化对两重两新的融资保障，大力支持因地制宜发展新质生产力。截止到今年8月，高技术产业贷款、制造业中长期贷款同比分别增长13.2%和15.9%，推动小微贷款增量扩面，一视同仁，加大对民营企业的支持力度。普惠型小微企业和民营企业贷款同比分别增长16.1%和9.1%。指导保险机构全力做好重大事故和暴雨、台风等自然灾害理赔服务，帮助受灾群众和经营主体渡过难关。今年前8个月，保险业已累计赔付1.55万亿，同比增长26.1%。下一步，金融监管总局将积极加强与市场和各位媒体朋友的沟通交流，及时回应社会关切。刚才潘行长就有关政策调整呢，已经给大家做了通报和介绍。关于有关的监管政策的一些优化和完善呢，一会儿我在答问环节会跟大家做一些具体的交流。我们将努力营造稳定、透明、可预期的监管政策环境，持续用力、更加给力，不断提升服务实体经济的质效，为高质量发展贡献更多的金融力量。谢谢。
谢谢李局长的介绍。 下面我们请吴清先生自我介绍。
女士们、先生们、各位媒体朋友们，大家
Ladies
好。
and gentlemen, good
首
morning.
先在这里还是非常的感谢大家长期以来对资
Again,
本
thank you all
市场
very
的
much
关心支持，
for your
还有对
long-standing
证监会
support
工作的
for
关
the
心支
capital
持。
market and our work
为
at
贯彻
the
中央金融工作
CSRC
会议精
to
神，
deliver on
今
the
年4月，
guiding
国务
principles of
院
the
出台了
Central
新的国
Financial
九
Work
条，
Conference.
我们
The
认真
State
抓好
Council
落实。
rolled out the new
会同相
9-point
关
measure
方
on the
面也制
capital
定
market. We
了
are
若
delivering
干
on
个
them
好的
together
文
with
件，
relevant
并
departments.
且制
We
定
have
和修订了
we have
一批
rolled
50
out
多项的
and
规则
released
制度，
relevant supporting
对于
documents
新
and
的国九条一
some
起
50 systems
形
and
成了
rules.
1+N
So
的
this
一个政策
forms
规
a
则的
1
体系，
+N
一
policy
批重点
framework
措施也在落实的
for
过
the
程当
capital
中。
market.
资本
We
市
are
场的
delivering on
强监管、防风
batch
险、
of
促高质量
key
发展，
measures.
应该说取得了一些初步的成效。
We have seen
一个呢是市场
positive
生态
results
进
in
一
the
步的
capital
好转，
market. First, the ecosystem
坚持监管的长牙带
is
刺有棱
being
有角。
improved. We are taking strong and
国办
effective
转发了
measures for
证监
regulation.
会等
The
5个
State
部委
Council
关于
approved
进一
and
步做
released
好
the
资本市场
guidelines to
财务
further
造
prevent
假
and
综
punish
合城防体
financial
系
fraud in the capital
这样的
market.
一个工作意见。到8月末，
In the first 8
已经
months,
查办的证券期货
A total
违
of
法案件有577件，
577 cases
特别
of
是严
illegal
肃查处
acts related to
包括
securities
像
and
恒
futures
大
were
地产、
handled.
中和泰
In
百
particular,
等
we
一
have
些重要的案件。
seriously dealt with
还与
the
财政
cases
部
such as those
从严查处
involving
了恒大
Evergrande
地
and
产
the CNN
审
and
计机构
CTV.
普华永道形成了有力
Alongside
的震慑。
the MOF, we also
二是
gave
市场基础
punishment
制
to
度加快
Evergrande's
完善，
auditing firm
优化发行
WC
上市
China
分红
in order
减
to
持交
strengthen
易等等
deterrence.
各个环节
Second,
的
we are
制度
improving the
规则。
basic system. We are
上市公司在2023年度的
improving
分红达到了
rules related to companies
2.2万亿
listing
元，
dividends,
也是创了历史
reduction
新
of
高。
holdings and trading.
再就是加强程序化交易的
In
管理，
2023,
程序化交易
listed
监管
companies paid
规则进一
a
步
total of 2.2 trillion RMB
严格。
dividends, a historic high. We are also strengthening
暂停了
regulation
短融
oversight
券业务，
over computer-driven program trading,
深入推进
suspend
公募基
relending.
金费
We
率
are
的
also
改革，
deepening reform on the
推
mutual
动
fund
行业
fee
机构
rates
把功能性的建设摆在首
to
位。
encourage
三
relevant
是市场功
institutions
能保
to
持
prioritize
发
their
挥，
original functions.
也是克服了
The
很多的困难，
market
保持
functions
了
is being
IPO 再融资一个适
We
当
have
的节
overcome
奏，
difficulties to ensure
持
the
续提
tempo
升
of IPO and
境外上市
refinancing,
的备案
We are
管理的
also
相关工作的质效，
increasing the effectiveness and
稳步发挥
efficiency of
债券期货市
managing
场的功能。
companies filing for
前
overseas
8个
listing.
月，交易所的债券市
We
场
are
发行各类债券
stabilizing the functions of the
8.9
bond
万亿
market
元
and futures market. In the first 8
也是稳步
months,
增
the
长。
EBM
四是
saw a total of 8.9
资本市场改
trillion
革创
yuan
新
of
的
all
坚定
sorts
推
of
进，
bonds. Fourth,
围绕做
we
好
are
金融
deepening
5篇大
reform
文章，
with
发布实施
determination
资本市场服务
on
科
five-
技
we
企
focus on
业
the
的
five
16 条
key
和科创板的
areas.
8条等一些政
We
策
have
措施，
released and implemented the
也配合
16
做好
measures to
创投
support
的
the
建设
tech
相关的工作，
companies
也
through
更
the
好地
capital
发挥
market as
并
well
购
as
重
the
组的作用。
8 measures regarding
今
the
年
star
5月以来，
market.
全市场披露
We are
的一些
also
重大的
giving
重组案例，
More important
又达
road
到
to
了
M&A
近
and other
50单，
restructurings.
市场反响
And
还是比较
since
积极。
May this year, we have disclosed
然后呢，20届
around
三中全会对
50
进一步
major
全面深化资本市场
restructuring
改革做出了
cases.
战略部署。证监会
The
将
third
坚持
plenum
强
of
本
the
强基、
20th
严监严
Citizens
管，
Committee
坚持以
also
改
made
革
important
促发
strategic
展、
plannings for
促保
deepening
稳定，
the capital market reform.
不
The
断的
CSRC
健全
will continue
投
to
资
strengthen
和
our
融资
regulation
相协
oversight
调的资
to
本市场的功能，
facilitate development
更
and
好地
stability.
服
We
务
will
中国式现代化建设。
shore up the
重点抓好
capital
3个
market
突出
function，by
一个是突出增强资本市场内在稳定性，
investment and financing.
树立回报
The
投
first
资者的
is
鲜
that
明
we
导向，
will
提高上市
highlight
公司质
the
量
internal
和
stability
投
of
资
the
价
capital
值，
market. We will
加快
enhance
投资
the
端改
quality
革
and，value
推
for
动
investment of
构
listed
建
companies to serve
长
to
前
better
长
serve
投的政
investors.
策体系
We。will build a
最后
policy
我们还会
framework which
发布
enables
关于
long-term
中长期资
money
金
for long-term
入市的指
financing
导意
and
见。
investment. We will also further
我们也
improve
将进一
our
步完
policy
善相关的政策工具箱，守牢风险底
and guard
线。
against
二是
risks.
突出服务
Second,
实体
we
经济
will
回升向好和经济的高质量发展。
better serve the real economy and advance high-quality development with a particular focus on key areas such as new quality productive forces. We will make use of stocks, bonds, and futures, among other capital market tools, to invigorate the restructuring and M&A market. We will roll out and
我们
release
将努
relevant
力
measures in the near term.
会同各方面一起
We will also
来
work
畅通
with
私募
other
股权
sides
创投
to
基金
ensure
的
that
募投管
PEVC
税
firms
各环节的
perform
循环。
smoothly so that they can raise
三是
funds,
突出
invest,
保护
manage, and
中小
exit
投资者
properly.
合法权益，
Third, we will protect
坚决打
the
击
legitimate
财务
rights
造
and
假、
interests of
操纵市
small
场
and medium-sized
等等一些
investors.
违法
We will
违规
crack
的
down
行
on
为，
financial fraud and
同时
other
在
illegal
代表人
activities.
诉讼、先行赔
We'll
付等
also
这
put
些方面
emphasis on
也
representative
争取
action
能
and
够落
advance
地
indemnity
更多的示范性
so
的一
that
些
we
案例。
can
我就
demonstrate
先跟大家简要
our
介绍这些，回头再跟大家交
determined
流。谢谢。
efforts. Thank you very much.
谢谢吴主席。
Thank
下面
you.
我们就进入提问
Now,
环节。
the
提
floor is
问
open.
前，还是请通报一下
Please
所在的新
identify
闻机
your
构，
immediate
请大家开
affiliation
始做提
before
问。
raising your question.
好，先第二排吧，第二排这位，对。
谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总台央视记者提问：我们知道今年以来啊，人民银行已经实施了3次比较重大的货币政策调整。刚刚潘行长也提到了，下一步将继续下调存款准备金率和政策利率，这些总量政策呢将对稳增长能够发挥重要作用，所以大家都很关注。能否请您再给大家详细解释一下呢？谢谢。
Can you give us more explanations on the important role of
谢
these
谢
policies?
你的问题。
Thank you for your
的确
question.
关于这个货币政策的总量呢，也是
On
整
the
个社会和
aggregates
市
of
场
the
呢
monetary
都
policy
非常
that is
关心的一个问
an
题。
issue of great interest
我
for
在
the
不
whole
同的场
society.
合呢
And I
多次
have
说过，
said many times on
人民
different
银行坚
occasions
持
that
支
the
持性的货币政策，
PBOC is committed to an
加大了
accommodative
货币
monetary
政策
policy,
调控的强度，
and we have
提
strengthened
高货币政策调控的精准性。
adjustment of
我们
and
运用了多
regulation
种
of the
货币
monetary
政策工具的
policy,
组
making
合
the，policies more
支持
targeted.
实体
We have
经济
used a
的
combination
稳定
of
增长。
policy tools to support steady growth of
人民
the
银行我
real
们在
economy.
设计这个货币政策
When
公
designing
布
the
的这个
monetary policy
这个调整的这个过程中呢，我们有几个重要
and
的这个考
adjusting
量
the
的因素，
policies, we have several
第一
important
个
considerations.
就是
First,
支持
such
中
policies
国经济
must
的稳定增
support
长。
stable growth of the
第
Chinese
二个
economy.
因素是
Second,
价格层面的，
the second
也是我们
consideration
在
is
设计
about
货币政策
price,
工具之中的一个重要的考
which
量因
is
素。
also an important factor
要推动价格的温和回升。
when we decide on the
第
adjustment of
三
the
个
policies, and that
重要
is
的考
to
量因素
promote
就是
moderate
我们要
rise
兼顾
in consumer
支持
prices.
实体经济
Third,
增长和
we
银
should
行业
also
自身的健康性，
balance
要在这中间呢要有一个比较好的平
our
衡。
support for real
第四
economic
个呢
growth
就是汇率，
and healthy state
要
of
保持
the
人民币
banking
汇率的
sector.
在合理均
And
衡
fourth,
水平上的
We need
基
to
本稳
keep
定。
the RMB exchange rate basically stable,
另外还有一点
reasonable, and
就
equilibrium
是
level.
我们注重与财政政策
In
的
addition,
协同配
we
合，
also lay
货币政策
emphasis
和财
on
政政策的
coordination
协同配合，
between the monetary policy and the fiscal
支
policy.
持积极的财政政
We
策
support a
更好
proactive
的
fiscal
发力见
policy
效。
so that these policies can all pay off.
这是主体我在开展白中提到的几
As
项
I have said
政策的
in
宏
my
观
opening
货币
remarks,
政策总量政策的几项调整，我
we
现在
will
详
make
细的
some
再说一下。
adjustments on
第一个，关于
the
降低存款准备金
macro-regulatory
率。
policies. First,
今年的2
on
月份呢，
reducing
我
the
们下调了
reserve
存款准备金率呢是 0.5个
ment
百分点。
rates. In February this year, we
这一
lowered
次呢，
the
从存款准备金率
RR
呢
by
你再次
0.5
下调
percentage points,
0.5
and this
个百
time
分点。
we will cut it by
这个
another
0.5个百分点呢，可以
0.5
向金融
percentage
市
points.
场提供长期流动性
And
呢
this
是
could
1万亿。
provide the market with about 1
目
trillion
前金
yuan
融
of
机构
long-term
家传
liquidity.
平均存款准备金率呢是7%，
At the current
它是个
stage,
家传。
the average weighted RR
大型银行呢，
is 7%
大型银
for
行呢，目
financial
前它是
institutions.
8.5，那么这一
For the
次
major
改
banks,
了以后，它将
the
从
rate
8.5
is
降到了
currently
8%。
8.5%,
中
and
型银
after
行现在
the
是
policy
6.5，这
adjustments,
次
it
改
will be
完以后
down
从
to
6.5降到
8%.
6%。
For the
那么
medium
农
banks,
村
the
的金融
rates
机
will
构呢，
be
在几
down
年之
from
前呢，它已经都
6.5%
在
to
执行
6%.
5%的
As
存
for
款
the
准备金率。
rural
所以呢，这一次
financial
呢就不
institutions,
再不属于
they
调
have
整
been
的这个
implementing
范畴。
5% RR for
那么这次降准政策实施之后，银行业的平均存款总备金率大概是6.6%。这个水平与国际上的主要经济体的央行相比，我们这个水平呢还是有一定的空间的，在存款总备金率的这个公度上。同时呢，我们也会根据情况，这是在近来要调一个0.5，那么我们会在根据到年底之前还有3个月的时间，我们也根据这个过程的这个情况，有可能进一步再下调0.25到0.5个百分点。第二项政策呢是关于降低政策利率。目前的公开市场期权期的逆回购操作利率，目前是央行的主要政策利率。7月份呢，我们将期权期的逆回购操作利率从 1.8 下调到了 1.7。那么这一次呢，下降20个点，从 1.7 调到 1.5。那么在市场化的利率的调控的这个机制下，政策利率的调整将会带动了国内市场基准利率的调整。预计了本次政策利率调整之后呢，将会带动中期借贷便利，就是那个马拉粉中期借贷便利，将会带动了中期借贷便利的利率下调，大概会在0.3个百分点。我们预计贷款市场的报价利率，就是 LPR， 还有存款利率等也将随之下行0.2到0.25个百分点。那么这次的利率调整对银行净息差的影响，总体的保持中性。下调存量放贷利率将减少银行的利息收入，但是同时大家也知道，它会减少客户的提前还款。央行降准相当于呢为银行直接提供低成本的长期的资金运用。中期借贷便利和公开市场操作的是央行向商业银行提供中短期资金的主要方式。利率的下降也将降低了银行的资金成本。此外呢，预期的这个我刚才所讲的贷款的预期贷款的市场报价利率、存款的利率呢，将会对称下行。另外呢，前几次的存款利率，我们通过利率市场治理机制引导的存款利率的这个下行，它形成的重新定价的所产生的效果将会累计显现。因为这个存款的利率的重新定价要比贷款慢，对不对？所以在我们前几次引导存款利率下行的时候，随着时间的推移，它的这个重定价呢会累计显现出来。所以在我们政策调整的方案设计中呢，人民银行的技术团队经过多轮认真的量化分析评估，政策变化对银行收益的影响为中性，就这次利率调整呢，对银行收益的影响是中性，银行的净息差将保持基本稳定。谢谢。
继续提问。好，先我面前吧，第一排。
您好，中国证券报记者提问：20届三中全会提出健全投资和融资相协调的资本市场功能，支持长期资金入市。有关方面一直也在呼吁和推动长期投资、价值投资。请问下一步如何更好推动中长期资金入市，促进投融资平衡？谢谢。
我来回答一下这个问题啊。这个长前确实 非常重要。
Indeed, long-term
中长期资金的
capital
投资运作
is very
专业
important.
化程度高，稳定性
The
强，
professional operation of
对
such
于克
capitals
服市
is
场的
highly
短期波
specialized
动，
and stable,
发
which
挥
would
资
help
本市场的
overcome
这
short-term
个稳定
market
器、
fluctuations,
压舱石的
and
作
they
用。
also and stable, which would help overcome short-term market fluctuations, and they also plays an important role as a stabilizer and ballast in the capital market. In recent years, the CSRC has vigorously promoted equity public funds. In conjunction with relevant parties, we have promoted the entry of medium and long-term funds into the market, achieving results. By the end of August this year, the total holdings of A shares by professional institutional investors such as equity public funds, insurance funds, reached 14.5 trillion yuan, more than doubling from the beginning of 2019. The proportion of A shares held by these institutional investors increased from 17% to 22.2%. And since its establishment, the National Social Security Fund has achieved an average annualized return rate of over 10% on domestic stock investments, becoming a model for long-term and value investment in the A-share market. It should also be recognized that there are still some issues in the current capital market, such as insufficient long-term capital, suboptimal structure, and insufficient leverage of its leading roles. The institutional environment for long-term capital, for long-term investment has not yet fully taken shape. To implement the decisions of the third plenum and further address the difficulties for medium and long-term capital to enter the market with strong support of relevant authorities, the CSRC and other departments have formulated guiding opinions on promoting the entry of medium and long-term capital into the market, which will be issued in the near future, focusing on the overall goal of more long-term capital, longer-term capital, and better returns. The guiding opinions have proposed a series of measures. And I believe the environment for such capitals to enter the market would clearly pay off over time. So our goal is to have more long-term capitals for greater returns. And the upcoming guiding principles have proposed the following key measures. First, vigorously develop equity-type public funds. The focus is to urge fund companies to further correct their business philosophy, adhere to the investment return orientation, and strive to improve their investment research. They should create more products that meet the needs of the public and strive to create long-term returns for investors. And recently, the newly issued 10 CSI A50 ETFs have been well received by the market, all reaching their subscription limits. Going forward, we'll continue to improve the registration of equity-type fund products, vigorously promote the innovation of index products, and launch more ETF products for small and medium-sized players, such as the Chinext and the Star Market, in a timely manner to better serve investors and serve the national strategy and the development of new quality productive forces. In addition, we also help the public fund industry to steadily reduce the comprehensive fee rate to better benefit and reward investors. Second, will improve the institutional environment for long-term capital for long-term investment. The focus is to enhance the regulatory tolerance for or inclusiveness for medium and long-term capital's equity investment and fully implement a long-term assessment cycle and we will encourage the insurance institutions to become steadfast value investors, providing stable long-term investment for the capital market. We will also guide the multi-level and multi-pillar pension security system to interact positively with the capital market, improve the investment policy system of the National Social Security Fund and basic pension insurance funds, and encourage enterprise annuity funds to explore different types of differentiated investments based on the different ages and risk preferences of the holders. Third, we will continuously improve the capital market ecosystem. The focus is on taking a variety of measures to enhance the quality and investment value of listed companies, improving and supporting institutional arrangements for industrial investors, cracking down on illegal and non-compliant activities, and creating a favorable equal environment for the medium and long-term capital to develop well. Going forward, we'll work with relevant authorities to ensure that all the measures will be effectively implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is on major commercial banks. These are crucial. What are the policies that will be taken to support the stability and development of major commercial banks? Recently, the State Council released a number of measures to ensure high-quality development of PE investment. What are the measures to implement on the guidelines? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. As you rightly said, major commercial banks are the main pillars in China's financial sector that serve the real economy. They're also the ballast for financial stability. The major banks in China are operating stably with stable quality of assets. All their indicators are in the healthy range. As we all know, capital is the foundation of financial institutions. It is also the basis for enhancing our ability to serve the real economy and strengthen resilience against risks. In recent years, the major banks mainly increased their capitals by preserving their own profits. But as the banks cut more fees and give more benefits to its clients, its net interest margin has somewhat narrowed, and the profits are growing slower, and they need to replenish their capital by using internal and external channels to enable the major banks to operate stably and steadily and better serve the real economy. The government has decided to increase core Tier 1 capitals to 6 major banks. And we will take coordinated, phased, and tailored policies for the different banks and implement such policy in an orderly manner. We will continue to urge and encourage the major banks to refine their management level and enhance their capacity for high-quality development under capital restraints. Within the total social financing in China, indirect financing remains the mainstay. This means that we need to follow a path of fintech with Chinese characteristics. In the past, the financial capital investment companies set under major banks have set up pilot programs for equity investment in Shanghai. They have gained experience, and they are now in a position to expand such pilot programs. According to the decisions by the State Council to leverage the leading role of the pilot programs and encourage venture capital, we will take the following 3 measures. First, we will expand the scope of pilot cities. We will work with relevant authorities to look into the possibility of expanding the pilot program from Shanghai to 18 medium and large-sized companies, including Beijing, who have vibrant innovation in science and technology. Second, we will ease the restrictions. We will ease the restrictions for equity investment and its ratio as appropriate, and raise the share of investment on the balance sheet from 4% to 10%. The share of investment in individual private funds will be raised from 20% to 30%. Third, we will improve the assessment of performance. We will encourage relevant institutions to implement on the requirements for due diligence and establish a long-term differentiated system for performance assessment. Going forward, we will build on our existing experience, continue to expand the pilot program, and improve the supporting policies to enable more projects to be implemented as quickly as possible.
Thank you for your question. This is something that concerns a majority of people. From the perspective of the PBOC, we are mainly supporting the healthy development of the real estate market and also guard against risks. Over the past few years, the PBOC has been improving the macro-prudential policy on real estate financing, adopting measures from both the supply and demand sides. We have lowered the minimum down payment ratio for personal housing loans, reduced low interest rates, eliminated the floor of interest rate policies. Today, I also announced additional policies. We also established relending facilities for affordable housing to support the purchase of commercial housing. To implement the central government's decision to promote the stable and healthy development of the real estate market, the PBOC will plan to introduce 5 real estate financial policies together with the National Financial Regulatory Administration. First, we will guide banks to lower the interest rates on existing mortgages. In August last year, the PBOC encouraged central banks to reduce the interest rates on existing loans, which achieved relatively positive results. Since we lifted the lower limit of the mortgage loan in May this year, we removed the lower limit of the rate. The margin of reduction of the newly issued mortgage loans based on LPR was further expanded. So that increased the margin of interest rate of mortgages, mainly in major cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, etc. After our adjustment in these major cities, new mortgage loans have a large interest margin compared with the old mortgage loans. To address that, we have decided to adjust the rate. We will reduce the interest rate on existing mortgages to a level somewhere around the newly issued mortgages, with an expected average decrease of about 0.5 percentage points. At different stages in different regions by different banks, the rates are different. So this decrease of 0.5 percentage points is an average. We believe this will lower the interest rate burden of home purchases. 150 million people every year, the interest payment in total will be reduced by 150 billion RMB yuan. This will increase consumption and investment and also reduce the possibility of advance prepayment. It will also help us to protect the legitimate interests of investors and ensure the stable and healthy development of the real estate market. We will release the official document in the near term. It concerns many people, so the banks also need some time for technical preparations. So I encourage people not to go to the bank this afternoon. The banks still need to make preparations due to technical issues. Going forward, we will encourage the commercial banks to better the pricing. It can be based on consultation. Second policy is that we will unify the minimum down payment ratio for mortgages at a rate of 15% to support the basic housing and improved housing needs of all residents. The minimum down payment ratio will be unified at 15% for both first and second home purchases. So in the past, the first home purchases will see a mortgage rate of around 15%, but for second time purchases, the rate will be 25%, but this time we will lower the mortgage rate for the second home purchases to 15%. Different localities can adopt differentiated arrangements according to their own circumstances, because there are different conditions across the country. The local governments are allowed to adopt differentiated arrangements to determine the minimum down payment ratio in their jurisdiction. And the commercial banks can, in line with the risk conditions and willingness of the clients, determine the minimum down payment ratio based on their consultation with their clients. This 15% is the lower bound of the rate. The commercial banks will also determine the risk profile of their clients in order to come up with a proper rate. So the third policy is that the 2 real estate financial policy documents will be further extended. The PBOC and the NFRA rolled out the 16-point measure in the financial sector and the commercial property loan policy. These are the 2 policies to support the healthy and sustainable development of the real estate market and also diffuse risks in this sector. Among them, the phase-based policies such as the extension of existing financing for real estate companies and commercial property loans will expire at the end of this year. Considering the current situation, we have decided to extend the 2 policies until the end of 2026. Fourth, we will optimize the policy of relending for affordable housing. In May the 17th, the PBOC established a relending facility of 300 billion yuan for affordable housing to guide financial institutions to support local state-owned enterprises in purchasing unsold completed commercial housing at reasonable prices so that they can be used as rentals or affordable housing. This is part of our efforts to reduce the inventory of the property market. To further incentivize the companies and the banks, we have decided to increase the level of support from the PBOC from 60% to 100% when commercial banks decide to issue 10 billion RMB, the PBOC will give them support at a commensurate level. Fifth, we support the acquisition of existing land by real estate companies. On top of using some local government's special bonds for land reserves, we are researching the possibility to allow policy banks and commercial banks to provide loans to support eligible enterprises in market-based acquisition of real estate company land to revitalize the existing land and alleviate the financial pressure of real estate companies. When necessary, the PBOC will provide policy support. We are still further looking into this policy with Mr. Li Yunze. Thank you very much. I turn over to you.
For small and micro companies, we noticed that the government has introduced a lot of policies to support financing for small and micro companies. The financial institutions have also stepped up their efforts, but some small and micro companies are still making complaints. What are the targeted measures for that? Thank you for your question. Small and micro companies involve tens of thousands of households. They are important forces for stabilizing the economy and improving jobs and people's livelihood. In recent years, we have worked with the PBOC to enhance policy guidance to improve financing services for small and micro companies. By late August, the outstanding inclusive loans for small and micro companies totaled 31.9 trillion yuan, doubling from that of 2017. And the average interest rates have also been lowered by 3.5 percentage points. To further address the difficulties in financing, we will mainly take 2 measures. First, we have worked with the NDRC to establish the coordination working mechanism for supporting small and micro companies' financing. This mechanism has drawn on the experience of the real estate financing coordination mechanism, and we have established special workforces at the county level. And these workforces will stay in contact with 2 parties. One is the enterprise. They need to have a deeper understanding of the real difficulties facing the small and micro companies to understand fully their needs for financing. On the other hand, they need to stay in touch with the banks and recommend to the banking institutions some small and micro firms who operate in accordance with the law, have real financing needs, and have a good credit record. And the banking institutions need to complete the credit approval within 1 month in principle, so as to ensure that the credit funds will reach the small and micro companies directly. Second, we will improve the loan renewal policy without principal repayment. In 2014, policies for loan renewal for small and micro companies have been issued, which made it clear that eligible small and micro firms who still have financing needs after their loans matured can still apply for loan renewal. In other words, micro and small companies can continue to renew their financing without having to repay their principals. It is fair to say this is a very popular policy among the small and micro companies, and it has played a positive role in facilitating financing for small and micro companies, and will continue to improve this policy from 3 aspects. First, we will extend the policy from some small and micro firms to all small and micro firms. For those companies whose loans have matured, but they still have financing needs and have difficulties in accessing funds, they could all apply for loan renewal if they meet the conditions. Second, we can extend the loan policy, renewal policy, to medium-sized companies in a phased manner. In other words, medium firms whose liquidity capital loans mature by September the 3rd, 2027, could also have their loans renewed just like the small and micro-sized companies. Third, we have adjusted the standards for risk category. For law-abiding companies with good operation and credit record, if they want to ask for loan renewal, we will not lower their risk category because of their loan renewal applications. We need to ensure that these policies are implemented in earnest, and especially we need to address the concerns of the grassroots level creditors for extending credit lines to small and medium companies. And to achieve that, the NFRA has recently announced the due diligence exemption system for inclusive credit, so as to incentivize the grassroots level creditors so that they are willing and able to issue loans.
Since the beginning of this year, we saw that there was a mechanism on the real estate financing coordination mechanism in urban areas. What are the progress made thus far, and what will be the further measures?
Thank you for your question. In fact, Governor Pan has given a very comprehensive answer regarding the development of the real estate sector. Well, this sector concerns the overall economic growth and the immediate interests of the people. Well, in recent years, there have been significant changes in the supply and demand of China's real estate market. The continuous slowdown in sales has led to tight liquidity among real estate companies, and some sold and under construction projects have struggled to be completed and delivered on time. To address this, we have established the Urban Real Estate Financing Coordination Mechanism. The most significant feature of this mechanism is that it is city-based and project-centered. It distinguishes the risks of real estate groups from the construction of real estate projects, fully leveraging the coordinating role of local governments. It includes qualified under construction and sold projects in the whitelist, guiding financial institutions to meet the reasonable financing needs of real estate projects, and enabling the delivery and the completion of project construction, and effectively safeguarding the legal rights and interests of home buyers. With the joint efforts of all relevant parties, the coordination mechanism has achieved good results. Commercial banks have approved more than 5,700 whitelist projects, with approved financing amounting to 1.43 trillion yuan, supporting on-time delivery of more than 4 million homes. Driven by the coordination mechanism, the support of financial institutions for the real estate industry continues to expand. By the end of August, the loans for real estate achieved a positive growth this year, reversing the downward trend over the past few months. And the merger and acquisition loans and housing rental loans also increased by 14% and 18% respectively, providing strong financial support for the stable and healthy growth of the real estate market. And to actively support improved housing needs, we have worked with the PBOC to guide localities to optimize the housing loan policies. Going forward, we'll continue to work with the PBOC to lower the rates for the mortgage rates for existing housing. And going forward, we'll firmly implement the decisions of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council on supporting the real estate sector, further implement the urban coordination mechanism so as to lend as much as possible, as much as we should, and win the battle to ensure housing delivery and promote the stable and healthy growth of the real estate market.
Thank you. Now, the market is following closely on the MMA and structurings. You also talked about this just now. The CSRC has taken a number of measures to support this. What are the further steps that could be taken to invigorate the capital market for M&A and restructurings? Indeed, this is a big event. By supporting the M&A, we will be able to help upgrade the relevant industries as global industrial transformation accelerates and our own economic structure transforms. We must give a more important role to the M&A and restructurings of companies to integrate relevant industries and increase their efficiency. The new 9-point measures represent important steps to invigorate this market. On top of our extensive research, the CSRC has formulated guidelines on deepening reforms for the mergers, acquisitions, and corporate restructurings market. The market will be given a major role for M&A and restructurings. First, we will support listed companies to transition toward new quality productive forces. The CSRC will support M&A of listed companies revolving around emerging strategic industries and future-oriented industries, including cross-sector M&As, in order to upgrade the industry. In addition, we also encourage the acquisition of not yet profitable assets in order to shore up value and supply chains. And we will encourage more resources to be used for the development of new quality productive forces. Second, we will actively encourage listed companies to strengthen industrial integration. China is the only country with all the industrial classifications. However, some industries, though big and many, are not strong and good enough. The capital market will continue supporting the development of the emerging industries. At the same time, we will also support the traditional industries in increasing industrial concentration through restructurings to enhance efficiency of resource allocation. We will further streamline procedures to offer our support. In addition, we will make arrangements related to the lockup periods and encourage PEVC firms to actively participate in M&E and restructurings. Third, we will increase the inclusiveness of regulation. We will respect the laws of rules of the market, of economics, of innovation, and increase our inclusiveness regarding the evaluation of restructurings, the promises of performances, competition, and related trading, in order to enable the market to play a bigger role in resource allocation. Fourth, we will redouble our efforts to increase the market efficiency. There are a number of payment facilities for restructurings, including stocks, convertible bonds, etc., cash, etc. Going forward, we will allow the issuance of stocks in various batches, the issuance of convertible bonds, etc. We will also allow companies to pay consideration or provide supporting financing in different batches so that they can use their funds in a more flexible way. We will further streamline approval procedure and enhance efficiency for restructuring. Intermediaries are also important in this process of restructuring. The CSRC will guide the brokerages to improve their services and play their professional role in facilitating trade in order to enable high-quality M&A and restructuring. The CSRC will continue our efforts to provide regulation oversight. At the same time, we will crack down on illegal activities to ensure the order of the market and protect the legitimate interests and rights of small and mid-sized investors. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Recently, the adjustment of monetary policies by major economies has notably eased the depreciation pressure on the RMB exchange rate, which has turned to appreciation actually. On September 18th, the Fed cut interest rate by 50 basis points. This is the first rate cut since the start of the rate hike cycle. Meanwhile, the ECB has also cut rates twice since June by a total of 50 basis points. The Bank of England cut rates by 25 basis points in August. The central banks of Canada, Sweden, and others are also lowering their rates. Except for the Bank of Japan, the monetary policies of major economies have entered a rate-cutting cycle, weakening the upward momentum of the US dollar. The dollar index has, by and large, declined. Since August, there has been a decline of around 3%, hovering around 101, as the differential in domestic and foreign monetary policy cycles tend to converge. The external pressure to